Finding Solace in Kyoto. Finding Solace in Kyoto. Chapter 1. A Quiet Arrival. Emily was 23 years old when she arrived in Kyoto for the first time. She came from a busy city where life always moved quickly, cars filled the streets, phones rang constantly, people hurried from place to place every day. For many months, Emily had felt tired and stressed. She worked long hours at a company office. Every morning looked the same. Wake up, drink coffee, take the crowded train, work all day, return home exhausted. One evening, after another difficult day, Emily looked at a photo online. The picture showed a quiet temple in Kyoto surrounded by green trees and soft rain. Under the photo were simple words, "Sometimes peace is found in silence." Emily stared at the image for a long time. A month later, she was standing in Kyoto Station carrying a small suitcase. The station was busy, but the city felt different from home. Calmer, slower, gentler. Outside, soft rain fell onto the streets. Emily opened her umbrella and looked around quietly. "I really came here," she whispered. She took a small bus toward the northern part of Kyoto. As the city passed by the window, she noticed old wooden houses, narrow streets, and glowing paper lanterns. People walked slowly under umbrellas. Bicycles moved quietly beside small rivers. The air smelled fresh after the rain. Emily felt her shoulders relax for the first time in months. When she arrived at her small guest house, an elderly woman greeted her warmly. "Welcome," the woman said with a gentle smile. "My name is Mrs. Sato." "I'm Emily," she replied politely. Mrs. Sato showed her a simple room with tatami floors and a small garden outside the window. "It's beautiful," Emily said softly. Mrs. Sato smiled. "Kyoto teaches people to slow down." That night, Emily sat beside the window listening to the rain. For the first time in a very long while, everything felt quiet. Chapter 2. The Temple in the Forest. The next morning, Emily woke early. Birds sang softly outside her window. The rain had stopped during the night, leaving the garden fresh and green. Mrs. Sato served breakfast downstairs: rice, miso soup, grilled fish, green tea. Emily thanked her politely. "You should visit Juji Temple," Mrs. Sato suggested. "It is very peaceful." Emily nodded. Later that morning, she walked through narrow streets lined with maple trees and small tea shops. Soon the city became quieter. Tall cedar trees surrounded the road. The sound of traffic disappeared completely. Finally, Emily reached Juji Temple. The temple looked simple and old. Soft green moss covered the ground like a carpet. Rainwater still rested on smooth stones. The forest smelled of earth, wood, and fresh leaves. Emily walked slowly through the garden. Everything felt calm. No loud voices, no busy streets, only the soft sound of wind moving through the trees. She sat quietly on a wooden bench beside the temple. An old monk swept fallen leaves nearby. After a few minutes, he smiled gently at her. "You came a long way," he said. Emily looked surprised. "How did you know?" The monk laughed softly. "People searching for peace often travel far." Emily looked down quietly. "I think I'm tired," she admitted. The monk nodded. "Many people are." They sat in silence for a moment. Then the monk spoke again. "Silence is not empty," he said calmly. "Sometimes silence helps us hear our hearts clearly." Emily thought carefully about those words. Chapter 3. Learning to be alone. Over the next several days, Emily visited the temple every morning. She slowly began creating a new routine. Wake early, walk through the forest, drink tea quietly, sit beside the moss garden, listen to nature. At first, the silence felt strange. Emily was used to noise, music, phones, conversations. But here, silence felt different. It felt peaceful instead of lonely. One afternoon, she met a young artist named Hana sitting near the temple gate. Hana carried a sketchbook and painted small pictures of trees and flowers. "Would you like to sit here?" Hana asked kindly. Emily smiled. "Thank you." The two women spoke quietly while watching the rain fall through the cedar branches. Why did you come to Kyoto? Hana asked. Emily hesitated before answering. I wanted to escape my busy life for a while. Hana nodded slowly. I understand. Do you live here? Emily asked. Yes, Hana replied. Kyoto helps me think clearly. Emily looked around the peaceful forest. I think it's helping me too. Hana smiled gently. Sometimes people are afraid of being alone, she said, but solitude can also be beautiful. Emily repeated the word quietly. Solitude. It means peaceful time alone. Emily liked the sound of the word. That evening she wrote it inside her notebook. Solitude, not loneliness, peaceful aloneness. Chapter 4. The Sound of Rain. One evening, heavy rain covered Kyoto. Water dripped from rooftops and stone paths. Emily sat inside a small tea shop near the temple. Warm steam rose from her cup of green tea. Outside, the forest looked dark and mysterious. The tea shop owner smiled kindly. Rain changes Kyoto, he said. Emily listened carefully. The rain sounded soft against the bamboo walls. It's relaxing, she said. The owner nodded. In Kyoto, people learn to appreciate quiet moments. Emily thought about her old life. At home, she often rushed through everything. Eat quickly, walk quickly, think quickly. But here, people moved differently, more slowly, more carefully, more peacefully. Later that night, Emily walked back to the guest house through the rain. Paper lanterns glowed softly beside the road. The wet stone streets reflected golden light. She suddenly realized something important. For the first time in years, her mind felt calm. Chapter 5. The Hidden Garden. One morning, Hana invited Emily to visit a hidden garden behind an old temple. It's one of my favorite places, Hana explained. They walked through narrow forest paths until they reached a small wooden gate. Behind it was a quiet garden filled with moss, stones, and tiny streams. Small fish swam slowly through clear water. A bamboo fountain made soft tapping sounds. Tap, tap, tap. Emily smiled immediately. This place feels magical. Hana laughed softly. Kyoto has many hidden places like this. The women sat beneath a maple tree drinking tea together. Back home, Emily admitted, I always felt pressure to do more. Hana listened quietly. I thought resting was lazy, Emily continued. But now? Emily looked at the peaceful garden around her. Now I think rest is important too. Hana smiled proudly. That is a wise lesson. A cool wind moved gently through the trees above them. For a long moment, neither woman spoke. But the silence felt warm and comfortable. Not awkward, not empty, just peaceful. Chapter 6. A Letter from Home. Several weeks passed. Emily continued exploring Kyoto's temples, gardens, and quiet streets. One afternoon, she received an email from her company manager. We need you back soon, the message read. Emily stared at the screen quietly. Suddenly, she felt nervous again. Part of her wanted to stay in Kyoto forever. That evening, she visited Gyoji Temple once more. The old monk sat near the garden sweeping leaves. You seem troubled, he observed. Emily sighed softly. I may need to return home soon. The monk nodded calmly. Everything changes. But I'm afraid, Emily admitted. I don't want to lose this peaceful feeling. The monk placed the broom down carefully. Peace is not only found in places, he explained. It is also something we carry inside ourselves. Emily listened closely. You came here searching for silence, the monk continued. Now you must learn to bring that silence into your daily life. Emily looked thoughtfully at the moss garden. Maybe peace did not belong only to Kyoto. Maybe it could exist anywhere. Chapter 7. The Lantern Festival. Before leaving Kyoto, Emily attended a lantern festival with Hana and Mrs. Sato. Hundreds of glowing lanterns floated along the river at night. Soft music played nearby. People wore traditional clothing and walked slowly beneath the evening sky. The atmosphere felt calm and beautiful. Emily watched the lanterns drift across the water, each glowing light reflected softly in the river. "What do the lanterns mean?" Emily asked. Mrs. Sato smiled warmly. "They remind us that life continues moving forward." Emily nodded slowly. She realized her journey was changing her, not in a loud or dramatic way, but quietly, deep inside. Hannah handed Emily a small notebook. "For your thoughts," she said kindly. Emily smiled gratefully. "Thank you." Inside the notebook, Hannah had written a message. "True peace begins when we stop running from ourselves." Emily read the sentence twice, then she looked toward the glowing river once more. Chapter 8. Carrying Kyoto Home. A few days later, Emily stood once again at Kyoto Station. This time, she felt different, calmer, stronger, more balanced. Mrs. Sato bowed politely before Emily boarded the train. "Please visit again someday." "I will," Emily promised. Hannah smiled warmly. "And remember to slow down sometimes." Emily laughed softly. "I will try." As the train moved away from Kyoto, Emily looked out the window at the forests, temples, and quiet rivers disappearing into the distance. She realized something important. Kyoto had not solved all her problems, but it had taught her how to breathe slowly again, how to enjoy silence, how to rest, and how to find peace inside ordinary moments. Months later, back in her busy city, Emily still remembered the soft sound of rain falling through cedar trees. Sometimes after work, she sat quietly in a nearby park without using her phone. Sometimes she drank tea slowly while listening to the wind, and sometimes, when life became stressful again, she opened Hannah's notebook and smiled at the words written inside. "True peace begins when we stop running from ourselves." Far away in Kyoto, moss still covered the temple gardens, rain still touched the stone paths, and somewhere beneath the cedar trees of Juji Temple, silence continued teaching its quiet lessons to every traveler willing to listen. Vocabulary words: solitude, peaceful time spent alone. Temple, a place for prayer or quiet reflection. Moss, a soft green plant that grows on stones and trees. Cedar, a tall evergreen tree. Peaceful, calm and quiet. Lantern, a light used outdoors or for decoration. Reflection, deep thought or an image seen in water. Balance, a calm and healthy state in life. Atmosphere, the feeling or mood of a place. Journey, a trip or travel experience.